Today we shall see the third and final part of Julius Caesar. After the murder of Julius Caesar, the dead body of Caesar was carried to the public forum. It was a marketplace. There, Brutus spoke to the crowd. He gave his reason for the murder of Caesar. I killed Caesar because he was ambitious. His ambition was driving him on to become the king. I had to kill him to save our republic and our freedom. It is true that Caesar was my best friend, but a man should be ready to kill his best friend for the good of Rome. Would you? He asked them. Rather have Caesar alive and be slaves, or kill Caesar and be free men? The crowd shouted its applause, and Brutus went away satisfied with his achievement. Before he left, however, he begged to the crowd to lend a friendly hearing to Mark Antony's speech. Mark Antony was indeed a most powerful orator. The people were at first against him, but soon he won them over to his side. Like Brutus, he did not appeal to their reason, he cunningly appealed to their emotions. Mark Antony told the mob that the conspirators had accused Caesar of being ambitious. They were all honorable men. But was their charge honorable? Caesar had spent a lot of money not on himself, but on the people. He had been a true friend to the power. Thrice he was offered the crown of king. Thrice he refused it. Was he ambitious? Yet Brutus says that he was ambitious. He said, and Brutus is an honorable man. The people were excited. Mark Antony then held out Caesar's will for all to see. If you know what Caesar had left you in his will, you would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds. You would dip your handkerchiefs in his sacred blood and even beg a hair of him for memory. By this time, the crowd was rushing towards the murderers. Mark Antony enraged them still further by pointing to the wounds in Caesar's body. See what a rein to the envious Casca made. Through this, the well-beloved Brutus stabbed. This was the most and kindest cut of all. Mark Antony then returned to the will, which he said he would not read for the fear of exciting the crowd against those honorable men who had killed Caesar. The mob shouted, "The will! The will! We want to hear the will!" Mark Antony pretended to be unwilling to reveal the contents of the will first, but at last he told them the contents of the will. Caesar had left a sum of money for every citizen of Rome. Besides, he had left to them all his lands, his gardens, and his orchards on the bank of the Tiber. There they could take their walks in the evening when their work was done. Mark Antony ended his speech with a touching sentence, "When will there ever be another man like Caesar?" Through his speech, Mark Antony won the crowd to his side. The crowd, wild with fury, ran here and there to kill the conspirators and burn their houses. On their way, they met a poet. Unluckily, he got the same name as one of the conspirators. He was called Cinna. They attacked the poor Cinna, the poet, and cut him into pieces just because of his name. Brutus and Cassius were warned in time to flee from the city. While Brutus and Cassius were fleeing through one gate of the city, Octavius and Mark Antony were entering through another gate. They were at the head of a large army. Soon Octavius and Antony made themselves masters of the city. All senators and citizens who had been against Caesar were put to death. For some time there was a reign of terror. When this was over, Octavius and Mark Antony marched to attack Brutus and Cassius. They were gathering together an army to recover Rome. The enemies met in battle at Philippi. Brutus and Cassius had been able to gather a fairly strong army in the distant eastern part of the Roman Empire. However, Brutus and Cassius were no longer friends. Cassius was too violent and unjust for Brutus. At the same time, the decisions of Brutus were often wrong, as he was a philosopher rather than a practical man. They were certainly wrong at the Battle of Philippi. There Brutus sent his troops against Octavius when he ought to have sent them to help Cassius against Mark Antony. The result was that the army of Cassius was defeated and Cassius killed himself. The defeat of Cassius left Antony free to come to the help of Octavius, who was being hard pressed by Brutus. The forces of Brutus were defeated. Brutus was in despair. He realized that the murder of Caesar had not saved the republic, but had led to themselves bloodshed. He thereupon committed suicide. Thus ended the life of noble Brutus, who sacrificed himself to save the freedom of his country. After the death of Brutus, Mark Antony made the famous remark about him. His life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him that nature might stand up and say to all the world, "This was a man." Shakespeare's Julius Caesar is a historical tragedy which is confined to Rome. The people of the age of Shakespeare believed in the concept of sovereignty. In Julius Caesar, the ideal of honor in public and political life is stressed. Julius Caesar represents the conflict between imperialism, whose protagonist is Julius Caesar, and republicanism, which is represented by Brutus. The whole play is about the murder of Caesar and the retribution for it. The eloquent Mark Antony avenges the murder of Julius Caesar. Mark Antony excellently exploits the gullible nature of the mob. So we have so far seen the final part of Julius Caesar, wherein the conspirators were killed by the public, emotionally provoked by the powerful oration of Mark Antony, triple pillar of Rome.